Welcome to another episode of Business with Passion. Each show features guests who have transformed their long-term passion into a successful business. I'm your host, Jay Hamilton Roth. My marketing strategy business grew from my love of talking with passionate business owners. In this series, I share their passion with you. So if you're looking for inspiration to enhance your business passion, keep watching.
My long-term passion relating to the business is to try to make our inconceivably delicious organic ice cream as accessible as possible, to take on the low-quality ice creams of the world without naming them and make really delicious, really high-quality, certified organic, earth-friendly ice cream accessible to as many people as possible at a price point that people can afford. So we're not an elitist brand. We really want to appeal to the masses and really spread the joy. So as a child, I definitely ate a lot of ice cream. If you look back at some photos of me, you might see that I had a bit of a spare tire. But I can't say that I ever had any sort of vision of being the ice cream man. But one thing that I did definitely enjoy early on was entrepreneurship in its many forms, whether that be selling baseball cards or illegally selling gum in middle school to moving on to managing a bagel store in high school and things like that. It was definitely very interesting to me to be the merchant, to have something and put it out there in the world and see how people receive it. So, I kind of got to a point after working in corporate America where I realized, wait a second, I can really do something like that I would love to do. Certainly one event earlier in life that helped to lead to the creation of Three Twins was when I was in 8th grade, and I guess I was in 8th grade, and we went up to Vermont for a weekend to go skiing because we lived in New Jersey at the time. And the week prior, my brother and my twin brother and I had received our cholesterol back from the doctor. Mine was up at 299, so far above a healthy level for an 8th grader. So my mother put us on this strict no cholesterol diet. So we went skiing, coming back, we stopped at the Ben & Jerry's factory outside of Burlington, and she would not let me have ice cream. She would only let us have something that was cholesterol-free, which in the case of Ben & Jerry's at the time was their lemon ice. It wasn't even sorbet. It was just icy and lemony and not particularly good and certainly not creamy. So I think that was an event that kind of sat in the back of my mind and made me determined to go and start my own fattening, high-cholesterol dessert company. And the joke's really on Mom now because she's one of my esteemed employees. Although she claims to have no recollection whatsoever of that event. But it's certainly one of the things that led to Three Twins. I heard a great quote after I started Three Twins about starting a business, and I think it was some internet guy who said, when you start a business, you should either know everything there is to know about the industry or know nothing at all and go into it fearlessly. And I think I thought I knew everything as a 28-year-old or 27-year-old, however old I was. But in hindsight, I feel like I knew just about nothing. So I kind of went into it just saying, I'm going to start this great earth-friendly organic ice cream company, and I'll figure it out along the road. And that's basically what I've had to do. Fortunately, I haven't had any major blunders. I haven't risked the company or anything like that, but there have certainly been some challenges along the way of just not having a great deal of resources, not having a great deal of knowledge, but going fearlessly into the world, starting a company. Starting with my childhood, my parents were great. They were firmly blue-collar American workers, but they really had a vision, I think, for their children, for the three boys, of getting a good education and having the ability to do whatever we wanted in life. So my mom especially, but my father as well, they've just been so supportive in anything that I've ever wanted to do. And I can't say so much in childhood, but definitely in high school and in college, whether it be something like putting green streaks in my hair, to taking off to Europe after college for 3 months by myself, to moving to California and starting the company. They've been supportive, and they put a great deal of faith in me, which has been very humbling to receive from one's parents, because I certainly hear of a lot of kids that don't have it so good and kind of battle constantly with their parents. But my parents are extremely supportive, and no matter how cockamamie a plan might sound, my mom and father, they just say okay, and they have faith in me. And it's worked out well with 3 twins, so now it's almost a joke in the family of how absurd I can make the vision for the company and just have my mother sit there and say, sounds good. So they're really great, and that's really made it a lot easier to get going. So when I first started the business, I learned that, despite thinking that you have a great plan and certainly having a lot of passion, the fact that you have a good heart and have that passion really doesn't help you with dealing with the health department, with the building department, and other such agencies. And I really had a hard time getting this first store open. We ended up opening at the end of the summer and, literally the last week before school started. And, that made for a very long, cold, wet winter. And so we really had a lot of challenges early on. And I think that I was trying too hard to make 3 twins too accessible to the world, and our prices were just set way too low. Our margins were too low, and we were just losing money. And our location is not thus that we're going to make up for it in the volume. It's pretty tucked away, so I had to go about and raise prices, which is a painful step because I'd give it away if I could, but you have to remember that passion is one thing, but having a sustainable business is also very important. I think the most important things in my recent past that helped me to get here and helped to start 3 twins were the dichotomy of my experiences after college of going and working in corporate America, as I worked for Gap for 2.5 years. And I really enjoyed it at first, and it was great, 23 years old, not having to worry about money and having a lot of responsibilities and wearing relatively nice clothes. And it was just fun. It was easy living after really working hard through college. But it got to a point where I realized that if I didn't change things, I'd sit in a cubicle or maybe an office for the rest of my career, and I'd have a bunch of money and have absolutely no career satisfaction. So I went off and quit Gap and went to the Peace Corps. And that was a great job, but it's certainly no way to make a living. It's hard to survive on volunteer wages. But that really instilled in me how good it can feel to serve and feel like you're contributing to the world rather than just trying to make a buck. So 3 twins for me is really a way to combine those. I mean, we're in it to make money, but we're also in it to have impact and make a difference and provide people with a good, fair product at a good price. With that, I think comes a lot of success away from the money. The success of seeing families have fun with your product, of having people come and want to put you on camera and giving interviews with magazines and newspapers and just having other people who are interested in following their dreams contact you and try to get advice on how to start a company and how to see their vision through. So that's been really rewarding. Well, in 2004, I applied to 4 different business schools, and that was really my post-Peace Corps plan, was that I would go to business school, study entrepreneurship, and then come out and start my own business. And I promptly got rejected by 3 of those schools, and then did get into Cornell's Johnson School of Management. But I didn't get the fellowship there that I'd really expected to get and really hoped to get, called the Park Fellowship, which is given to people interested in business basically for social change. And it's given to 10% of the incoming class. So there's a lot of those spots to be given out. So I didn't get the fellowship, and so business school was suddenly going to cost $110,000. And that wasn't so appealing, and I was just afraid that after business school I'd be saddled with debt, and I'd look at my options and there'd be some big company with their cubicles waving a 6-figure salary in my face, and I felt like that would be a really hard decision to make. So instead I decided to just go out and start my own business and keep business school in my back pocket as a contingency plan. And it's really been great, because business school is great for many things, but I don't think that would have been the right thing for me. I think I would have had a much harder time starting 3 twins, and I'd be 2 years behind. So starting as I did, starting small, it's really allowed me to learn so much about the ice cream industry that I would never get if I was starting later on from a larger scale. And I think it's going to work out. I've not filled out another business school application since.
Today.
The business today is a little bit crazy. We have the San Rafael store that we're standing in, which is the first store. And out of here, we produce wholesale bulk ice cream for grocery stores and cafes and other such interested parties. And we produce hand-packed pints for grocery stores. And we also supply our farmers market business out of here. Then we have a Napa store in downtown Napa, in the bucolic Napa Valley, where we just have retail. But from that, it's also led to more wholesale business. And I'm also in the process of building out a factory about 20 miles from here in Petaluma, California, which will be the world's largest dedicated organic ice cream factory. And from that, we'll be able to increase our production by about 20-fold. So we'll really go from being a couple of small little ice cream shops to a serious manufacturer, which will allow us to do many things. It'll allow us to make more ice cream in a greater variety of flavors. It'll allow us to make it less expensive because we cut a lot of the labor out of the manufacturing process, and it'll allow us to have a better, more consistent product as well. So it really will do a lot for us as far as achieving the next aspect of the goal, which is to start to spread our wings and get ice cream to far more people. Our philosophy on making ice cream here at Three Twins is pretty simple. We try to only use ingredients that individually taste good, so we don't put in any corn syrup or anything artificial or anything that makes it gummy or just not taste good, or which means that it costs a bit more, but you end up with a whole product. We're using whole foods to make delicious foods, and that goes not just with the ice cream that we make in 5-gallon batches between the two stores about 7 days a week, 5 days in Napa. 5 days in San Rafael, 2 in Napa. And so we get a fresh product, we get a delicious product. It's smooth. It's the texture that ice cream should be. It melts down to a liquid. But then it also goes in the other products that we do, such as our waffle cones, which are handmade from an organic mix with a recipe that we've created here in the store and made fresh and warm every day, so that our customers just have a great culinary experience.
So I'm going to make our milk and cookies ice cream, which is sold in several Bay Area supermarkets. And first goes our ice cream mix right into the machine. This machine comfortably fits about 2.5 gallons of ice cream mix. You get really strong after doing this all day long. Okay. Then we'll put some of our organic cookies into the machine. Organic chocolate sandwich cookies. Oops. Next goes our organic vanilla. And the last half gallon of our mix. Close the hatch, and the machine goes on. And now we have to wait about 8 minutes for the batch to freeze. I always have to check and make sure there's lots of cookies. Should finish it off. it goes. Right now we're at a lovely negative 36 degrees. Pretty cold.
Biggest support in my life is still my parents. I mean, not only do they work for the company, and they're really the utility players. They'll do anything that needs to be done for the company. So this morning as we film this, my dad's out doing deliveries. They help out with the farmers market and various other things. And they were also the first bank that we dealt with. The Bank of Mom and Dad is really a great resource for young entrepreneurs getting going. So they lent me some money, and now they're investors in the company. So hopefully we'll make them a nice return on their investment. But another support would be the other two twins, my twin brother and his wife. I spend a bunch of time with them, and just having that time to spend together away from the business and to relax is great. And probably my biggest ally would be my friends Toponia and Taylor from Fatted Calf, which is a charcuterie at the Oxbow Market in Napa. And they've become very good friends over the last year. And having like-minded individuals that know all the same pains that you're going through as an entrepreneur who's just getting going is really great. And we share many a bottle of wine together and deal with our woes appropriately. So, an important thing to know about Three Twins, in addition to, the fact that we just have really good ice cream, is also all the things that we do in the periphery to try to make it a better business. We use all compostable containers for serving our ice cream, which includes spoons made out of potatoes and bowls made out of sugar cane fiber, to cups made out of corn plastic that our customers really enjoy, because they know that it's not going to end up in a landfill, because we separate everything out and bring it to a composting facility over in Berkeley. We offset our emissions from the energy that we buy. We only use certified organic ingredients to make certified organic ice cream, and we're also members of 1% for the Planet, which means that regardless of how we do financially as a company, we're going to give away 1% of our sales. So, it started with a few $1,000s, and that number keeps on growing. So as we're at the end of 2008, I have a number of thousands of dollars to just give away to environmental nonprofits, which is a bit scary, but it's also wonderful that we get to have that positive impact as well. The current plans for the future of the business are really tied in with the Petaluma production facility. We'll go from being able to produce about 30,000 gallons of ice cream per year to somewhere around 500,000. So that's obviously a huge step up, and with that, we'll be able to lower our price. We'll be able to possibly even go nationwide with the product, but certainly up and down the West Coast. So, we'll really start to build a brand. And from there, it's so hard to say. If you had asked me 3 years ago where we'd be today, it would be a different picture than what it is. So I know we're going somewhere. They say I'm the one driving the ship, but in many ways, you just have to see what opportunities present themselves. Such as right now, we're exploring a San Francisco store that kind of fell into our laps. It wasn't in the plan necessarily to open up a third store right now, but it's a perfect location. It would be inexpensive, and it would be, one more thing to help us spread the brand and have more impact. If I woke up tomorrow and I couldn't do the business, the first thing I would do would take a long vacation. I really love to travel. I've been very fortunate since graduating college to take about 4 or 5 trips in excess of 2 months each, and I would hop on a plane tomorrow for Nepal, and I'm sure in those first days, as I'm jet lagged and I'm up in the middle of the night, I'd sketch out some other business plan. I was actually in India in the middle of the night that I first sketched out the plan for Three Twins, and so I would just go and wander and figure out the next plan. I couldn't get a job. Nobody would hire me because I'd have a frown on my face. I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't work well with others. So I'd have to start something else. Other passions in my life certainly include travel. It's been a big priority. Early on, before the business, I would take these 2.5, 3-month or longer trips to Nepal, to India, Tibet, Europe, Turkey, all these wonderful places that I think really help to shape my great appreciation of this wonderful world that we live in. So now that I have the business, obviously the 3-month trips aren't possible, but I do try to make a priority of taking 1-week trips, 2-week trips. which the business helps with those, because if you have one of those great business credit cards that gives you frequent flyer miles, you can take one trip in first class each year. So that's been fun. Not my usual mode of travel, but I still get to explore that to some degree. I've gained a much greater appreciation of both food and wine since starting the business, and especially having the business in Napa, where I'm surrounded by the world of wine and surrounded by some amazing artisanal foods. So that's something that I continue to explore, and it's amazing how each meal of your day can either be something that gets passed over and is unforgettable and unhealthy for you, or it can just be such a great celebration of the senses. So food and wine are certainly a huge passion, which I'll continue to explore more and more. I think the biggest thing is that as far as how my passion is expressed in my life is just with my level of happiness, my level of contentness, which really ends up affecting everything you do in life. If you go through life kind of not looking forward to the next day back in the cubicle, it's one thing. But if you can go through, knowing that you're doing something that is at least in some way meaningful. I mean, we're not curing cancer, but having a good environmentally friendly product, I think, is also important. You stand a little taller, you smile a little more, you just get to interact with the world in a much happier, more meaningful way than when you don't have that contentness in your life. As far as turning a passion into a business, I think it's first super important to think about if that passion can really be a business, and if it will still be a business, if it will still be a passion once it's a business. You might love to paint, but you might not be Van Gogh, and you might find that trying to paint for a living is very different than trying to just express yourself creatively on nights and in the weekend. Secondly, cash is king, and money is important. It's super important, and really have an honest look at how much money you'll need to get your business not just open, but to profitability, so that it's self-sustaining, because those can be two very different things. And undercapitalization, not having enough money to start off a business, is probably the biggest reason why businesses fail. So talk to people who have done it. Talk to your local ice cream entrepreneur. Talk to people. There's all sorts of business resource centers around California, around the United States. Do research online, and really figure out what you're getting into, because I got lucky kind of knowing what I was getting into, not entirely, and I had the resources in both terms of people and money that I had access to make it work. But not everybody gets lucky, and I certainly have heard of various businesses that we look at as great businesses that just don't work out. If money were no object, I think that I'd take a long trip, I'd wander a little more, but I'd probably keep on doing what I'm doing, providing that I can get reception on my satellite phone from Nepal and didn't have to be here necessarily 50 weeks out of the year. But I do love what I do. I maybe give away more money, assuming that money is no object and I have lots of it. And but in many ways, I think I would keep on doing what I'm doing.
Thanks for watching this episode of Business with Passion. If you'd like more information about Neal Gottlieb, other shows, or to be a guest on a future show, go online to tv.manygoodideas.com.